Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about everything plants. This is my first time doing a long form video. I'm used to doing shorts, so bear with me while I figure out the ropes and kind of make it a little better. And since I've been getting a lot of comments asking me about the little tiny stones that they see in my plants, I figured I'd make my first long video about that. So what you see in there isn't actually stones, they're these little clay balls, which they do look like stones, but they're little pieces of clay, and it's called LECA, which stands for Lightweight Expandable Clay Aggregate. The main reason I switched to it was because I was running into every possible issue with soil, especially fungus gnats. That was my main issue, and no matter what I did, I either still had fungus gnats or created a whole new issue. So I eventually did some research, found this, switched to it, and have had no issues ever since. I've switched every single one of my plants over to LECA except for my little cactus and my succulents, which I only have a few of those. So yeah, 99.9% of my plants are in LECA. And honestly, they've all been thriving, whether it's this one, my syngoniums, my philodendrons. I didn't have an issue with any of them switching over to it. So I recommend it to people, especially if they struggle with fungus gnats or honestly any issues with soil like I was. But another great thing about it is the little gaps that you see in there, it allows the roots to grow through them, and since the LECA is porous, it basically soaks up the water and wicks it up towards the roots, so even if you only have a tiny bit of water in there, your roots are still getting water. With all of my plants that are in LECA, most of my plants that are in LECA, so here I go already messing my words up again. Anyway, for most of them, I fill it up to about 1/3 of the way full of water. But for some, like this one, honestly, I usually put about halfway on. I need to go ahead and water it again because this one, for some reason, soaks it up super fast, even though it usually says it likes to be really dry and doesn't need a whole lot. I'm watering this one every 2 or 3 days. But for most of them, like my philodendrons, my syngoniums, I usually water those about every 5 to 7 days, depending on how much I put in there to begin with. But yeah, about 1/3 of the way up, I usually refill it about every 5 days, I would say. Honestly, give or take a day. I am not a huge schedule person whenever it comes to my plants. Honestly, I come in here every day, I check on them. If I notice one needs water, I'll give it water. I don't necessarily wait until the 5th day mark. But yeah, so some will need it within 3 days, some within 4 or 5, 6. It just really depends. That's one of the hardest questions to answer sometimes, is how often do I water, which is another one of the most common questions I get. But especially with LECA, it's really about judging your plant. It depends on, honestly, too, what kind of jar you have it in, because some that I have are in really smaller, or are in smaller compact jars, so it'll hold the moisture and the water in a lot longer. So whereas others, I have them in a little bit bigger ones, and yeah, the water kind of, I guess, evaporates from the top. I don't know, I really struggle with that question. Like I said, I'll get better with these longer videos. I probably need to get me a little notebook going and jot me down some things that can keep my mind on track, and hey, touch on this topic, touch on this topic, answer this question and that question. I just winging it, and yeah, hopefully you don't unfollow me for it, unsubscribe. So for a good example on how the roots grow throughout the LECA, I'm going to use Morticia, the Thai constellation. So I actually repotted her into this jar not too long ago, and look, she is already, oh, maybe it would help if I put it in the frame. Yeah, she is already pretty much trying to bust out of this jar because her roots started way up here, and as you can see, she already has them all going towards the bottom. There's some already at the bottom. Again, it might help if I put it in the frame, but yeah, already busting out of this damn thing. She grows too fast. I really can't get over how thick that one is, though. Like, looks like a whole ass worm in my jar. But anyway, I have a few others that kind of look like this, to the point that their leaves are kind of yellowing a bit. I mean, you can see it a little bit in this one, but she's okay for right now. But the other one I need to repot really soon. Really, really soon. Yeah, this is my Billy, and she's not doing as good. But she will be. But as you can see, the yellowing is a little bit worse on this one. But we'll get her back to health. She'll be fine. But yeah, her roots just went crazy in this jar. Literally all throughout it. This one's really cool, though, because, well, let me see if I can get it to where you can really see it. Oh no, this one glares a bit. Maybe right there's better. But yeah, it's like it's got little fuzzies all over it. It's kind of freaky looking, but kind of cool looking at the same time. I don't know. I'm weird. Which, yes, that's perfectly normal, I know. But most of them just look, like this, basic and boring. So that one's kind of fancy. Okay, I keep getting sidetracked. So back to LECA. Another fun thing about it is, since it's clay, it's also reusable, which I guess, yeah, soil usually kind of is too, but eventually it loses its nutrients and you still have to add things to it and whatnot. LECA is just, in my opinion, better. I like it. It's a lot easier to work with. It's really cool because you can see the roots growing throughout the jar a lot better. Even if you have your potted plant in a clear pot, you still can't see it until it's way later down the road whenever the roots have really grown throughout the pot. Whereas with this, you can spread the roots out immediately when you're putting it in there, and then you can watch them grow. Another great thing about it is it's really come in handy anytime I've had to go out of town, because if I know I'm going to be gone more than 5 days, then I'll just put a little bit of extra water in there. It's not going to kill my plant, and I know that they're going to have water. And honestly too, if it's one that I'm worried about, I may not even put that extra water in there. I may just make sure that it's at its normal water level, because even if the water level itself dries out, the LECA itself, like I said, it's porous, so it retains water for a little bit longer. So even though the jar looks empty, it's not necessarily dehydrated yet. So you have a little bit more of a grace period, I feel like, and you can see it. Like, you can actually tell if the LECA, at least on the outer layer anyway, still has any moisture left to it at all. Because, let's see, how can I... If you can see it, on this one. Okay, I'm actually going to use this one to show you because it's a little bit easier to see in the jar than the first one I grabbed, which isn't saying much, but don't judge her. She's recovering, okay? She'll be beautiful again soon. But anyway, you can kind of see, if I can get it to, I guess you could probably see it better right there, how that water level, or not water level, the water level's way down here, but even the LECA up here and up here too, it's kind of hard to see it. But you can tell that it has moisture because whenever it's up against the glass, it, has a little water bubble, so that tells me that it's not completely dry. So yeah, whether you give your plant a little bit of extra water or just let it go while you're gone, it'll still be fine because, unless you're going to be gone more than 7 days, then yeah, those pebbles will probably dry out. But any less than that, and yeah, your plants are going to be fine. Any more than that though, and I would probably definitely add extra water to the jar. You may even need, if you're going on like a really long vacation, I would probably repot the plant into a bigger jar. That way the roots sit up higher and you can raise your water level higher, and that'll allow it to retain more water essentially. Oh yeah, and here are my little succulents that do get to live a LECA-free life, which I don't think they would have minded. Honestly, I probably could have made it happen, but I'm not really willing to risk it for the biscuit. And this is my third one. Actually, I have, hold on one second. I need to repot her because she's a little bit wobbly, but this is my widow jade plant. Whenever I first got her, she had a lot of pink to her, and I'm hoping I can get that to come back out this summer. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, honestly, I can't believe how big she got. It was just this one stem at first, and then out of literally nowhere, this one sprouted out and started growing like a weed. So she's getting big on me, and I'm excited to see what the summer brings. I need to get her propped back up. Let me put her up one second. And last but not least, my only other LECA-free plant is my Christmas cactus, which is actually a Thanksgiving cactus. I recently learned that. But yeah, look at her. She's been blooming for me. I need to get those cleaned up. But I still have a couple of buds on there that I hope that one will still bloom. It should. It looks really healthy. But the weather's been so weird lately, and I don't know. I don't know how that works. I know they're kind of finicky with the weather, so it's going to finish blooming though. I believe in it. So I think I've covered all of the main things that I wanted to talk about with LECA. I'm sure I'll think of a lot more as soon as I get done with this video, but when I think of them, I'll write them down, and if you have any questions, put those in the comments, and I'll be sure to include all of it in the next video. I'll make a part 2 of, things to know and helpful things about LECA. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you putting up with my rambling because I get sidetracked a lot. But yeah, thank you so much, and if you have any questions, leave them below. Bye!